Hello, everyone. This is me, Sujoy, and welcome to my channel. Sujoy in Vietnam, and so I'm primarily making this video for the Vietnamese audience. I've been living here for over 5 years now in Vietnam, and I want to be talking about the racism problem here in Vietnam. What are my personal experiences of being an Indian and Ando here in Vietnam for the past 5 years? I think I've been living here for more than 5 years now. So, firstly, let me just break it down, okay? I'm going to be making this video in English. My knowledge is very limited here in when it comes to Vietnamese. So, I'm going to speak in English, and this is for my Vietnamese audience who understand English. And if you understand what I try to say in this video, then I would appreciate if you can if you can spread awareness here in Vietnam when it comes to providing equal treatment to all foreigners. It doesn't matter if he is black, white, brown, whatever it is. But I'm just going to be talking about my personal experience. I love Vietnam. I've been here for many years, but yes, Vietnam does have a problem with racism. Because uh, the mindset of the majority of the Vietnamese is that when it comes to a foreigner, he or she has to be a white foreigner. Okay, so let me just break down what do you mean by racism. Racism is an English word. It is used to describe treating people of different ethnicity or people of different skin colors or from nationalities differently. Okay, um, and so say for example, if I have dark brown skin, I may not get good treatment here when it comes to customer service in Vietnam. They may treat me poorly. They will just look at me. They will say, "Oh, he has dark brown skin. He is from India, so I will treat him poorly in Vietnam." So it's been going on for a long time now. I'm not a tourist here in Vietnam. I've been living for more than 5 years. If you're coming for tourism here in Vietnam, please enjoy the beautiful country. But I'm talking from my personal experience of staying here in Vietnam for more than 5 years. I wanted to make this video for a long time, and I was thinking if I should really make it or not. But I really thought that I really need to address this. Okay, so I'm coming from India. I have dark brown skin, and I'm Asian. I got black hair, black eyes. So I just had a haircut, actually, a military cut. So I just want to talk about the racism problem here in Vietnam. Okay, now it's sad to see that if you go to if you go to Ho Chi Minh City in Saigon, because this is where I've been living for so many years now. You go to District One, you will see a lot of white foreigners. They get a lot of good treatment compared to someone who is of dark skin or who has black skin. And especially if you're coming from India, you're not treated very good. In fact, you get poor treatment. And I have many instances to back it up, as to the kind of racism and discrimination I've been facing here in Vietnam. I was also in Hanoi for 2 months, and Hanoi was worse, knowing that it's the capital of Vietnam. Starting from teaching discrimination, the hiring, teaching discrimination to going to restaurants in Hanoi, and they will treat you, they will treat me very poorly. Coffee shops, majority of the time here in Vietnam, if you go, when they look at me, or if somebody, they look at someone from who looks like from India, or who has dark brown skin or whatever, they treat them very badly. They don't say hello, they don't help them in the ordering. And I've seen this kind of discrimination like in Highland Coffee, Phuc Long, and all these other coffee brands, even in Starbucks in Hanoi, which is very shocking. I had a very bad treatment. I mean, I have a lot of money when I go to a coffee shop and all that, but it's so sad to see they judge foreigners so fast, and some other person who is a white skin will get a very good treatment from that coffee shop or from the restaurant. But if I'm going to be going to a coffee shop here in Vietnam, or to a restaurant, or to a mall, I may not be getting good treatments. So that is one instance where it is. The other one, let's say, for example, the other day I went to a hair salon here in Saigon, and it was a nice, fancy one. And the lady said, when I entered the shop, I had many people. They were looking at me, but not with smile, with a kind of a disgusting look. And anyway, I sat down. I told the lady that in English, I want a haircut. So somebody came and translated me in English that you sit for 20 minutes. I waited for 20 minutes, and then it took another, I think, another 15 minutes. So it was like 35 minutes. And, I had to keep on waiting, and I felt so bad that, there were not many customers in general. And I felt like they wanted me to get out of the shop because they don't want to cut my hair because, I don't have fair skin, and, I'm an India looking type guy. And it's so sad, because, I love my skin color. I love my features. I celebrate people of color. Okay. For me, if you're a nice person, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, yellow, because India is a very friendly country. Unfortunately, it's not here in Vietnam, and I'll come to that. So I waited there, and then the haircut guy came. He started cutting my hair, and he was very aggressive. He was like, shoving my face here and there. And it was just a very bad experience. I mean, he was cutting it very aggressively, and it just took it. It lasted so short, the haircut, and he was cutting it so rudely, aggressively. They did not give me a hair wash, nothing, and charged me around 100 and I think 150,000 Vietnam dong for a haircut. So this is one example of racism here in Vietnam. Okay, even like in coffee shops, majority of the time, and I would specifically mention Highland Coffee, and Phuc Long, and these Katina coffee shops, these young boys and girls who work there. When I come to a coffee shop to place an order, they don't want to help me. They don't want to say hello or whatever. They just stand there as if they just want me to place an order. They don't have that system here in Vietnam where you can ask them that, can you recommend me a good coffee for the day and all that. So that's the reason why customer service sucks a lot in Vietnam. And I have mentioned this in one of my previous videos, why Vietnam has a very bad customer service experience. Yes, also, I would like to raise the point that there's a lot of staring problem here in Vietnam. What I mean to say is, like I constantly get stared at. And like, say, for example, if I'm walking around, even here at the countryside at Long An province, constantly getting stared around, and they don't smile. I mean, they'll stare at you point blank. Even in Ho Chi Minh City, some locations you go, they're smoking, they're just staring at you. Somebody told me that this is a part of the culture here in Vietnam, and I think that's so shitty because Staring is a very bad thing, if you're staring at someone with a smile, I don't mind, but if you're staring at someone with hate, that is something is then definitely wrong. Okay, that is not good. Okay, so you get constantly stared at. They get you that hateful stare. You feel like intimidated, provoked. The other day, like when I went to ACB ATM, the security guy out there, he was just standing right in front of me, and he was just staring at me, because I was waiting for my turn to take out the money. These are a couple of the examples of racism over here, and especially some of these security guys here in Ho Chi Minh City, like in District 1 and all that. Wherever you go, the blue shirt security guys, they'll just stand and they'll stare at you. That's not the right way to go about it. You know what I mean? That shows, that you're treating people of certain nationalities poorly. I mean, I always, because India and Vietnam are very good friends, and of course, India is a very powerful country when it comes to the economy, and, so why treat Indian people poorly? I mean, we've been living here long term, okay? I mean, especially in cities like Ho Chi Minh City. Hanoi was like a bit horrible because, firstly, I was very disappointed when I was there. I went to this pho shop in Hanoi in old quarters. They don't speak English, they speak very rudely. And the saddest part over here is that I see certain Vietnamese people, they touch the foreigners, like, hey, you, or they push them, touch them around, it happened to me a couple of, that is so bad, you're getting physical. You're getting physical, pushing around, and, this common thing like you, or whatever. Who the fuck are you? I mean, honestly speaking, is Vietnam America? No. Is Vietnam Singapore? No. And of course, the economy of India is very big, and India is a powerful country. So you have to respect Indian nationals, okay? Because majority of the tourists who come to Vietnam are Indians. They spend a lot of money. So don't treat us poorly. Learn to love us, learn to respect us, and that way we can be very good friends. And this is also something which is really sad to see, that it's not a very friendly country. I'm sorry to say, I don't find Vietnamese to be very friendly, especially in Saigon and in Hanoi and all that places where I was. I mean, I've had stories from other YouTube channels, foreigners who are Caucasians and whites. I've seen, like, they get invited, come for a drink, come for a beer, and all that. This never happened to me. They're not very mixing. I've never had situations where somebody comes up to me and says, "Where are you from?" or tries to be a bit more friendly. Because I do understand the environment I am in right now. Like I said, Vietnam is not America or Singapore. Vietnam is not a very multiculturalized environment. So it was a closed country. Now it's trying to be opening up. So, it's sad to see that not all Vietnamese, I mean, I haven't found any Vietnamese coming to me and trying to be friendly with me. It's so sad, I get discriminated based on my skin color, and also the fact that I'm from India. Like I said, Indians are not treated very well here in Vietnam. I don't care if you disagree with this or not, but I've been living here for many years. I know the facts, okay? If you're coming for traveling, that's a different story. You can be here for short term, enjoy it, have a blast of your life, and go back. But I'm talking about Indians who are living here long term in Vietnam. We don't get the best of treatment. We kind of are getting the second class treatment. And, it's just so sad that, it's not a very mixing society over here. They don't want to be friends with you. So, yeah, so I'm always kept in an isolation state. I have gone through a lot of anxiety attacks and depression, loneliness. Really sad to see, especially if you're going to District 1 area in Ho Chi Minh City. I've seen, like people, foreigners who are people of color, they're sitting alone in a park. Nobody wants to mix with them. Even like these young Vietnamese students who want to practice English, they just go and target Europeans and Westerners who have white skin and talk with them, and they don't want to approach people like me. Okay, that's so sad. Also, to let you know that I've lived in Europe for 10 years. I was in America for 4.5 years. And I'm pretty well traveled. My family is back in USA. And, and yes, I am from India. I love my country. So that's one thing, So, yeah, the friendliness. So, that these are the kind of things which I want to address, and also the lack of opportunities. Of course, I do freelancing work. I earn money also from that, but even teaching discrimination is out here. You know, if you're like the thing which is going on, native teachers, you can get a job, and they want to ask you a lot of questions, and especially if you have white skin and all that, they will take you on even these major English centers here in Vietnam. I won't name them, the schools. Yeah, so you will hardly find teachers from India actually teaching English here in Vietnam, in major cities like in Saigon, in Hanoi. Maybe somewhere in the outskirts, villages, and all that could be a different story. So, yeah, that's the sad reality. And of course, the parents of these students, they prefer their teacher to be white and all that. I don't know what's so great about that. But like I said, Vietnam's got a long way to go if it wants to be the next Singapore, because Singapore is a very multiculturalized society. So yeah, I mean, I do feel the heat. I do feel the challenges most of the time. So and I specifically decided to make this video for my Vietnamese audience, because I want you to feel how I feel here in Vietnam. Of course, there will be people justifying all this as false, writing comments, keyboard warriors. I will be getting threats and all that on the comment section. And I've been even called as nigger by certain Vietnamese people here in Vietnam, because of my dark brown skin. So yeah, I mean, the mentality, the mindset, it's got a long way to go. I mean, I read on the news that a lot of globalization happening in Vietnam, Vietnam having a digital economy, and becoming the next Singapore. But if you don't solve all these problems, if the Vietnamese media does not tackle all these issues and doesn't educate its population, how is it going to work out? It's going to be very difficult, and that's the reason why I'm trying to help the society over here understand that not all foreigners are white. Indian people are of different skin color. Like I mean, and foreigners, they're not. They can come from other countries. I don't care if he or she's coming from China, Africa, anywhere in the any other part of the world. Everyone needs to be treated nicely, provide equal opportunities, be friendly, get to know the culture also of because I love Vietnamese food. I love Vietnamese cuisine. I love the parks here in Vietnam. So many beautiful places to visit in Vietnam. But you also have to, as a Vietnamese, you also have to keep that responsibility to learn from foreigners, from different cultures, and India has a very rich culture, So you don't put this in your head that, okay, oh, India, Ando, it's a bullshit country. It's a very poor country, or curry and yoga. No, India is very economically very strong, and during my visit to India, I found it to be more expensive compared to Vietnam. And of course, so I don't want to get into the details. I'm not comparing India with Vietnam, but this is the reality. So I hope you have understood what I'm trying to say in this video, and there should be more videos addressing these kind of topics in Vietnamese, so that the general population of Vietnam, they understand, they have a different approach, change the mindset, because you guys are the future of Vietnam. So you have to try to address these issues. So yes, racism is a big problem in Vietnam. I don't care if others say there is no racism in Vietnam or and all that. Believe me, I've been experiencing that till date. I've been living here for many years now. So like I said, I love Vietnam, but these kind of issues need to be addressed. So I hope you guys found this video to be insightful. And finally, if you are looking to earn money online, doing simple remote social media jobs, then I'm going to keep a link down in the description below. It's like a 1-minute quiz which you can take. And so it's a paid social media job. It's a one-time payment, but they provide you a lot of training, and you start to get a lot of social media jobs. Okay, so that's all I got to say. If you like watching this video, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. This was me, Sujoy. Peace out. Come on. Bye bye.